Hello, Ray Phoenix here. Welcome to Let's Play Mega Man 6 Part 5. So we're finally in the last stretch at Mr. X's castle, where we're going to take on the X marks the spot where Mr. X is. Oh, look, the X disappears. Is he really that embarrassed that he made it this far through his castle without any real challenge? That all his bosses are just sissy pushovers? Maybe we'll get to the final boss room. We're gonna go fight Mr. X once and for all. And we're gonna see a sign saying, oh, Mr. X went out to the market for some time. He'll be back on February 30th, because he's just that too embarrassed to admit defeat to Mega Man, the blue bomber robot that destroyed Dr. Wily's plans 5 times before, and is now gonna stop a new villain. Well, the villain that supposedly was the mastermind, the puppet master behind Dr. Wily, Mr. X. We're really getting through his castle. His castle maybe look very high-tech on the outside, but on the inside, it's probably even more primitive than any of Dr. Wily's castles have ever been. I was saying a lot, because he's seen a lot of Dr. Wily's castles so many times up to this point. Mega Man, this is the first system Mega Man had his debut. This is like the 6th game of the series, and already he's had more games than a lot of other characters have. That's more games than what Banjo-Kazooie have had, or at least back in their prime. That was more than what Banjo-Kazooie had. That's more than what Jumping Flash has. That's more than what classic Spyro ever had. That's way more games than what most other game franchises ever get. It's a very few, game franchises could only dream. Most of them can only dream of having, like, so many games. Like what Mega Man has right here. But Mega Man is, Mega Man, the game's all standard. Sure, there might be so many games, but all the games seem to be very standardized at this point. Just another routine, standard Mega Man game, which is kind of, Mega Man 6 does seem like that a lot of the time, but it does have some nice extra features. I think this is the game if they were to put, like, references to past Mega Man games or levels that pay homage to previous Mega Man games, this would have been the one to do it, because this is the last Mega Man game on the NES, so it could have been like a homage to what NES Mega Man has been. They could have included bosses in the first Mega Man, Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3. They could have had like at least one boss from every Mega Man game up to this point on the NES. Instead of just, they probably had the assets for that too, so they don't have to just simply reuse all the enemies. Most Mega games do reuse enemies that we've seen in other levels. Look, they were using that cowboy-looking enemy from Tomahawk Man stage. And this part, the only way you can really get for this part is really if you use the Jet Mega Man, which is, Jet Mega Man is actually really good in this game. I think it's actually a lot better than most people give it credit for. I wish you could have seen Jet Mega Man and some of these Rush Power Adapters or Mega Man and more of the Mega Man games other than just Mega Man 7. It's not even that great in Mega Man 7. Mega Man 6 really is an underrated entry in the Mega Man franchise. This game deserves more recognition for being the classic it is, rather than like Mega Man 2, which, Mega Man 2 is the one that everyone says is like the best game on the franchise, or the best there could possibly be, but no one ever talks about Mega Man 6 much. I'm sure those people realize there is a Mega Man 6. I know Nintendo Capri Sun, he's a big fan of the classic Mega Man games. He didn't play Mega Man 6 until way later. It's funny, he's like a magical god at Mega Man's 1, 2, and 3, but then when he got to Mega Man 6, he sucked hard at trying to get through the game, which I was the other way around at that. I sucked hard at the earlier Mega Man games, so when I got to Mega Man 6, I actually got through quite easy, actually. So it's kind of funny, we're kind of opposites in that sense. And apparently Nintendo Capri Sun never played this one as a kid, which I'm actually not surprised. I'm not sure how well this game sold compared to other Mega Man games, but I know it's not as famous as the other Mega Man games. And when Mega Man gets referenced in things, they never talk about Mega Man 6, referencing Mega Man 6. Even when it was shown in that commercial where it was cross-promoted with Wario Woods, or whatever it was called, with the top loader NES, all they said was, oh, you could play Mega Man 6. Evil robots, or fighting robots, or something like that. Like, blind people don't even know what Mega Man is. Well, most people at that time would have known about Mega Man. He really well established himself. And here's the final. Well, here's Mr. X, the boss Mr. X. He's just riding around in his spiky wrecking ball. The only way you can really fight him is just use charge shots. It's actually really easy to dodge. This boss is a pathetic excuse for a boss. He's not even really a boss at all. He's just, I've seen regular enemies that put up a bigger fight than this. Is this really what he got? No wonder why I removed his X logo from the map. He's really that embarrassed that we could defeat him this easy. It'd be shame on him. He deserves to win. I don't know. Look, we destroyed him, but look at this. My scheme for world domination has failed, but I still have enough power to destroy you. Ooh, it's Dr. Albert Einstein Wily. He was wearing a Mr. X costume. Let the final battle begin. Yeah, like that big final battle. The battle's gonna conclude Mega Man's career as an 8-bit character on the NES. So apparently Dr. Wily was just using Mr. X as some character or something that he made, so he could, try to rule the world as someone else. Which actually seems even more lazier when he did in the last two games. In the last two games, at least he took someone else to put the blame for his crime in the last two games. But this game, he doesn't even try. He just makes up a new character, and then he makes a new character. And he doesn't even look that different from Dr. Wily. He looks pretty much the same as Dr. Wily. They pretty much look the same. You'd have to have Prosop Hypnosia or something like that if you couldn't tell them apart. And so now we're on the first of the Wily stages, where the game actually starts to get challenging. Not Mega Man. Well, okay, maybe almost like Mega Man 2 level challenging. This level's kind of like, it's almost like Q Basic Gorillas, where you have to know how to accurately plan your speed and velocity and where you're going to travel to. But instead of throwing bananas, we're just, throwing ourselves pretty much around a maze of levels. And there's spikes everywhere that could easily kill us. There was a lot of memorization involved in this level. And there's enemies, it's gumballs shooting propeller enemies. I still think of those as big giant gumballs. I don't know, they look like gumballs to me, or look like they could be gumballs, or even jawbreakers. I don't even think I've ever had a jawbreaker in real life before. I only mostly know jawbreakers exist from Ed, Edd and Eddy. Ed, Edd and Eddy had their own. The jawbreakers are the whole premise of Ed, Edd and Eddy. They do the scams that they do just so they can earn jawbreakers, or money for jawbreakers, because that's a really worthy cause to Ed, Edd and Eddy. They need jawbreakers. Jawbreakers, what would our society be without jawbreakers? Something that I've never had before. And there's a lot of things however people are obsessed with. Like, a lot of people are obsessed with White Castle burgers. I've only ever had White Castle burgers that you get at the grocery store. And even then, I don't really see those around anymore. And yet, Harold and Kumar made a huge epic movie. They went on a big epic adventure just so they could go to get to the White Castle restaurant. I wish I could go to a White Castle restaurant. They don't have them where I live, but I wish I could go to one sometime and maybe, I definitely would like to go to one eventually and have those flavor crystal burgers they talk about. Or maybe that would be a bad idea, because maybe then I might become obsessed with it then, and then it might become like an addiction, a horrible addiction. That means I have to sell my stuff and move near a White Castle so I can fill my White Castle craving all the time. This is actually one of the harder bosses in the game, because Dr. Wily, the bosses actually have the Dr. Wily branding on them, are the real challenges compared to the ones with the Mr. X branding on them. The weakness for this boss is supposed to be the Yamato Sphere, but the hit point for the boss, hit point to actually take damage against the boss, is actually really small. It's somewhere in between his nose and his eyes, I think. It looks like some freaky Japanese dinosaur thing, but the hit detection place is so small that it's really hard to hit the Yamato Sphere. You might as well just use regular uncharged Mega Buster shots, which is what I'm doing now. Really damaged him up a lot, but Mega Buster's actually better with these. But the Mega Buster actually can destroy most bosses in this game really easy. That's what I meant earlier when I said, oh, this game is just, relies on the Mega Buster. Most of the weapons in this game suck. Yeah, when you look at it that way, then most of the weapons in this game are kind of useless. Most weapons in Mega Man games since Mega Man 3 or 4 were kind of useless anyways. So I guess they're kind of continuing the tradition, continuing the new standard, and it doesn't get any better in most of the subsequent Mega Man games that came after this. So now Wily Stage 1 is down, now it's time for Wily Stage 2. We're going to put up with an even bigger challenge, I think. Apparently we're now inside Dr. Wily's freezer. I bet this is where Dr. Wily keeps his frozen goodies, his frozen foods maybe, his entrees, his frozen entrees that he probably buys at the grocery store, and frozen ice cream, of course, too. Ice cream's, of course, going to be frozen. It's kind of redundant to say frozen ice cream, because ice cream's supposed to be frozen. It's always frozen. You never have ice cream that's not frozen. Some people will probably eat ice cream that's not frozen. There's probably some subculture in the world that does that, but none that I know of. This level is slippery and ice. Well, this part's slippery, but this level is kind of slippery. Like, I don't know. There are slippery ice levels in well, I think there was in is there one in Dr. Cossack's level in Mega Man 4? I don't remember. I don't really think we see very many ice levels in Wily stages that are not like Robot Master stages. And so there's a really easy way to get through this. Just simply involve, I think this is the way you're really intended to do this. Just use the Jet Mega Man, stand on this reappearing, disappearing block, use Flame Man's weapon and melts that ice thing. And there, now we could, now we could, get to the other side now. The level doesn't look that icy anymore. We're probably out of the freezer section now, and we're now into the, I don't know what level this is. Maybe Dr. Wily was planning on starting a restaurant or something like that. That's why I had a big, large freezer section to keep the frozen foods there, or keep foods frozen. But now it looks like we're in the part where it's more just a bunch of redundant, it almost look like it could be a graph, almost like a bar graph with a different statistics of a bar graph almost, and they just looked at it and thought, hey, let's make a level out of this. Yeah, this would be a cool idea for a level. Yeah, make a level based on bar graphs. And so our Yamato spear weapon is out, so we need to give that a good recharge. Recharge the Yamato spear. Get a good recharge. One of those large energy pickups will refill it. Not even refill it, mostly just refills it with somewhat. There's spikes in the ceiling. See how Dr. Wily loves putting spikes on the ceiling? Wouldn't be Dr. Wily without putting spikes in the ceiling. And now we're going to take on the next boss, the Dr. W, the Dr. Wily branding. And this guy is weak against Windman's weapon. Yeah, he probably hates windy days because he's, I don't know, maybe he's built out of like loose material, so if on a windy day he'd probably fall apart. I've heard, I mean, I know a lot of buildings fog them to fall apart during windstorms and like damaging winds that cause power outages and cause telecom outages. And look at that, this lame excuse for a boss is gone. I kind of did overkill, but I bet I could have fought if the Mega Buster probably would have went just as easy, maybe even easier. This is Ray Phoenix signing out.